Every generation believes their stress is the hardest. But what if stress isn't about strength? What if it's about conditioning? At Mindshift Studios, we don't just talk about behavior. We explore the psychology behind it. Because when you understand the brain, you understand the world. So why does Gen Z say they're burnt out at 23? Millennials feel constantly overwhelmed. And Gen X rarely talks about stress at all? Are they weaker? More sensitive? Or were their brains shaped differently? Modern neuroscience suggests something deeper. Each generation didn't just grow up differently. They were stressed differently. And because of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt to its environment, those stress patterns became wired responses. Generation X grew up independent. Latchkey childhoods. Limited emotional dialogue. Handle it yourself. Millennials grew up during rapid economic shifts. Recessions. Academic pressure. The birth of social comparison online. Gen Z grew up fully digital. Constant connectivity. Performance metrics. Infinite scrolling. Different environments. Different stress triggers. Different neural conditioning. Gen X. The silent resilience research shows older generations use more repressive coping. They suppress emotional expression. They internalize stress rather than verbalize it. This doesn't mean they feel less pressure. It means they were trained not to display it. Their stress becomes endurance. Gen X doesn't talk about stress. They absorb it. Millennials, the emotionally conflicted generation. Millennials were told, follow your dreams, but also be financially stable. They entered adulthood during the 2008 recession. They witnessed the rise of comparison culture through social media. Psychologists link this timing to increased comparison anxiety and cognitive dissonance. High expectation. Unstable reality. The brain constantly toggles between ambition and insecurity. Millennials are the most emotionally conflicted generation. When a company announces restructuring, Gen X thinks, just survive it. Millennial thinks, what does this mean for my career trajectory? Gen Z thinks, is this aligned with my mental health? Recent trends reflect this difference. 62% of Gen Z report job hopping for mental health reasons. Only 28% of Gen X say they would leave a job due to stress. They tend to endure it. Millennials drove the Great Resignation, with over 4 million quitting during its peak. Gen Z popularized quiet thriving. Millennials popularized burnout. Gen X normalized work hard, go home. Same stressor. 3 interpretations. 3 survival strategies. Stress is universal, but adaptation is generational. Because of neuroplasticity, repeated stress patterns reshape neural pathways over time. Emotional suppression, common in Gen X, is linked to internalized physiological stress. Comparison-driven stress, common in millennials, is linked to cognitive overload. Chronic digital stimulation, common in Gen Z, is associated with elevated cortisol variability and anxiety sensitivity. The brain adapts to its environment. Stress is biological, but stress style is cultural. Stress response by generation in 60 seconds. Gen X, suppress, endure, move on. Millennials, overthink, compare, push through. Gen Z, feel deeply, question, seek balance. 3 generations, 3 adaptive strategies. Gen X learned resilience through silence. Millennials learned anxiety through ambition. Gen Z learned awareness through exposure. None are weak. None are broken. Each generation adapted to the pressure of its time. The real question isn't which generation handles stress worst, but what can each generation learn from the others? Stress is not a weakness. It's an adaptation. Gen X adapted to silence. Millennials adapted to instability. Gen Z adapted to constant stimulation. And because of neuroplasticity, those adaptations became patterns. But here's the powerful part. Neuroplasticity doesn't stop. Your brain can rewire. You can learn resilience from Gen X, perspective from Millennials, boundaries from Gen Z. Understanding stress is the first step. Rewiring it is the next. If this changed how you see your generation, subscribe to Mindshift Studios, because the more you understand your mind, the more control you gain over it. Now tell me, what generation are you, and what stresses you most right now? Let's compare perspectives.